Anybody out there hear me? 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Check, check, check. Check, 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 check. Hey, you want to be a volunteer? I just need you to yell in this microphone. Seriously, just say check, check, check. 1, 2, 3.
I got volunteered. Check, check, check. Hello. Check, 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 check. There we go. Good? More? Is it good now? Good now? More? No. What? Okay, come on. Okay, testing. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1. Good?
Okay. So it looks like we have some people sitting in the wrong place because we've got like 3 people at this table. So look at the back of your name tag. Make sure you are sitting at the table with the same color as the back of your name tag. Thank you. All right. Sterling tells me everything is good online. We're ready to go. So 2 years and 4 months later, here we are. So welcome to the first and hopefully the first of many more Youth on the Air camps in IARU Region 2, which is the Americas. And so we want to recognize all of the countries that have campers here today, and unfortunately, due to COVID, that is 1. So if you will please rise, we will have the national anthem of the United States of America. Top button.
Yeah. And then again.
Thank you. You may be seated, and hopefully next year that will take a lot longer. It's disappointing, but at the same time, we have 23 of you here from the United States, and we couldn't be more thrilled that you are here. And we want to make your week as enjoyable as possible. We have some incredible young people that will be leading an incredible lineup of sessions. And I'm really looking forward to a great week. I'm also looking forward to you all getting to know each other better. I think we're off to a good start because my Telegram has been pinging constantly since we opened it up. I look forward to that, and that's one of our goals, but we'll talk more about that later because it's just about dinner time, and so we need to keep moving. So a couple of official welcomes. First of all, I'd like for Jack Dominic, the Executive Director of the National Voice of America Museum of Broadcasting, to speak for a couple of minutes. Thank you.
Oh, not a couple of minutes. It's time for dinner. God forbid I speak for 15 minutes. You're okay with that, right? Well, welcome to the National Voice of America Museum of Broadcasting. And we're delighted to have you here today and for the rest of the week and for many of the sessions that will be going on. You know, it's really appropriate that this workshop, seminars, camp is being held here because this building was a place where many extraordinary technology achievements were made long before many of us were even born. Almost me. There were technological breakthroughs in radio, and so it's truly appropriate that you should be here at the iconic location. Now, I know that Neil and all of his volunteers have planned a wonderful weekend for you guys, and they have some awesome stuff. But I'd like to leave you with one, perhaps a little different suggestion. You know, as you go through the week and you hone your skills, your technical skills, your radio skills, don't forget this. Radio was and remains a very powerful tool. And that's all radio. Broadcast, commercial, public, amateur. For sure, you should learn everything you can about the technical side of radio, and that's what this workshop is all about. But I'd like you to remember this. There was a guy a long time ago, Google his name sometime. His name was Edward R. Murrow. Don't expect you to know who he is. Yeah, you would know because you're as old as I am. Google him sometime. He was probably the most effective and important communicator ever to use radio and then on to television. His words were once uttered actually about television, but they are also extremely true about radio. So remember this. It's not just the technology side, but what are you going to do with it? And he said, talking about radio, this instrument can teach, it can illuminate, and it can even inspire. But it can only do so to the extent that humans are determined to use it to these ends. Otherwise, it's nothing more than wires in a box. Welcome.
Thank you very much, Jack. We appreciate that, and well said. Next, I'd like for Jocelyn Bro, KD8VRX, and let me get it right, VA2VRX, to come up. Not only is he my right-hand man in this endeavor, not only is he on the committee, but he is the president of the Westchester Amateur Radio Association, which operates the shack that you all just got an orientation on. And they partner with the museum, and so they are co-hosting this event. So, Jocelyn?
Well, good evening to everyone. As Neil said, I'm Jocelyn. If you are not sure how to say my name, if it sounds close enough, I will answer. French name in an English country, I understand. I don't expect much out of it. On behalf of the Westchester Amateur Radio Association, I would like to welcome you to the museum and the Club Shack. Neil made a comment about the quick introduction we had about the shack, and you guys did really good at turning off the radios, but none of you disconnected the antennas. So we disconnected for you. But again, as you turn them off, you leave the shack, please ground the antennas. We're happy to have you here as our guests. As you've discovered, we're WC8 VOA. You can Google it. We're just .org. We got a great website. And this club was first originated in 1997, and it's only grown since then. We're about just over 90 members. I discovered this club I got licensed in late 13, but I came here for a different reason. I came here because I was a scout leader, and I wanted to have my scouts, experience Jamboree in the Air. They had never done it. I had done it a long, long time ago and didn't know it was amateur radio. I got in touch with ARRL, and they put me in contact here with one of the gentlemen. And I came here, we started planning the event, and they had everything figured out. We're going to do geocaching, we're going to do radios, we can move them around. There's tons of stuff they can do. It's fantastic. As a token of my appreciation, I thought, these people need help, so I should give back. So I got licensed and started giving back, and I've been here since. Later that year, right before Jamboree on the Air, I got my license. The government wasn't shut down at that point, so I had to wait a painful 8 or 9 weeks before I got my license. So as you've seen, we have a very good museum. We have tons of great volunteers. I want to do a special thank you to Mark, which is probably busy running something right now. There's Joe, which is not here, that helped out set a lot of the stuff up, and Mike, which is my cohort a little bit in the shack, to just make sure that you guys do everything right, and if you have any questions, we're here to help. And we'd like to say a big thank you to Jack Dominic for letting us use the museum facilities and not just the shack. My little story about Yoda. Back in 2015, after being licensed and having 2 young boys, I really liked radio, and I wanted to do something. And I reached out to actually Jay, which is back there. We talked about an idea. I said, hey, let me know if this makes sense. Wouldn't it be cool to have like a little weekend camp for kids to just do different things, satellite and things? And he said, I think you got something. A lot of the camps that we do are more for DX. And I said, okay. And, I don't know who to talk to. I'm new. So I kind of, set it aside going, I got this idea in my pocket, and maybe it'll work out. In 2016, at Hamcation, I ran into Sean Kutzko. And Sean was starting the National Parks on the Air program, which we all know was very successful, which is now transitions to Parks on the Air. And I talked to Sean, and he said, I think you got something, but I can't commit because I'm over my head with this one. So, I'll be happy to help you as I can, but I can't commit to anything. So it went on. Later that year, in 2016, in August, I went to Huntsville because Don Wilbanks had said, you've got a young kid. Huntsville's a great place, great ham fest for you to go to. So we went to Huntsville and ran into our cohort that just walked away, Sterling. And Sterling had just got back from Austria from the Yoda camp. And we talked a little bit about camp, and I told him my ideas, and he told me what he had done. And I said, I'm part of the VOA museum, and he, I explained, our facility, and he's like, that'd be a great place to have Yoda. He's like, we're working on trying to bring this back, and we're going to see what we can do. So, we kind of left it at that, exchanged cards and stuff, and really didn't do much. And then in 2017, my son and I were lucky enough to take part in the David Coulter Memorial, the YDXA, and we went to Costa Rica, where I met Bryant for the first time and his dad, and we had a good relationship. There were 3 kids, and everybody got along. It was a fantastic event. We had a great time, so that was good. So we come back, and still thinking about this thing, but not sure how to proceed. And then Neil shows up, and I had known Neil from Huntsville, and we talked, but never really talked camp. And he's like, we need to do something about this. So at that point, I'm like, okay, Neil knows more people than I do. He's a little bit more famous. So we started working on this plan back in 2018, and we're going to do something for 2020. Sterling obviously was part of the committee. Sam is also part of the committee. So we knew we had something going, and obviously 2020 was what, we all know how that went. So I was just lucky enough to meet the right people at the right time, be in the right place, and I'm happy that we're able to have this event. Maybe it's a year later, but I'm really excited to have everybody here in 2021, and I hope you all enjoy the camp, and if there's any questions, we're happy to help out. And again, this is about your camp, this is about your experience. We're trying to make it the best it can be, and we want you to socialize, have fun. So with that, that's all. Thank you for being here.
Yes. Yes. Yeah, I noticed that. Sorry, I should have warned you, Jocelyn. All right. Well, you've heard from them. You're going to hear from some other folks a little later on, but it's time to eat. So, this being Youth on the Air and about the campers, you're going first. So we'll go through the line, get what you need, and come on back. And about 6 o'clock, we'll be back to start talking a little more about what you got yourself into by being here this week. And we'll hear from Mr. Tim Duffy, K3LR, who drove down to be with us tonight. And then we'll get into the rules. Sorry. And then we'll get some icebreakers going, and then we'll get over to the hotel and check out the shack over there. So we'll get all of that going. The only thing that I would ask is that we have 2 people who are vegetarian. And we have a vegetarian lasagna over there. So please don't get into the vegetarian lasagna until they have gone, because that's all they're getting. So please, well, maybe not quite all, but mostly. So please don't get into that until our 2 vegetarians have gone through the line, okay? So we'll meet up again about 6 o'clock. And go eat. Go eat.
It's just time.
We're sorry, we don't have any food for y'all.
All right, we're going to go ahead and get started here. We have a lot to talk about tonight, feel free to finish eating, grab some cake, whatever you still need here. But we're going to go ahead and get started. Want to talk a little bit about why we are here. This is one of the reasons we are here. And this is a study that Innate RMA did, and there's this segment underneath the arrow, and thanks to Sterling for making that graphic a couple of years ago for me. But that shows the demographics of amateur radio operators. And we're focusing in on that second step right now. We've got plans on the first step too, but that's coming later. But that's one of our problems that we're trying to solve. And we looked at what was being successful, and we decided to replicate that as much as possible, and that's why we are here. Yoda is not a club. It is not a foundation. It is a movement. It is purely young people getting on the air. And that can take a lot of different forms. We're here at a camp, but that doesn't mean that's the only activity where there's youth on the air. And so it's kind of an all-encompassing thing. And there are clubs, and many of you are members of those organizations. There are other programs, and you're going to hear about some of those from each other this week. We're trying to get you all to know each other. We're trying to get you to make some connections. And the youngsters on the air people over in Europe tell us that their success comes from peer interaction. It comes from peers leading their peers. And so you will notice that Yoda Camp is a very different philosophy from anything you've probably seen in amateur radio before. Sometimes it's a bit of a shock because it's not the way we've always done everything. So everyone is welcome to participate. There is no membership. There is no hierarchy or organization. It's you. And that's why we're here. This program began in Europe as a cultural exchange between countries. And so you notice the flags that are all up representing all of the other Region 2 entities. That is kind of a holdover from the origins of youngsters on the air, because it started off as a cultural exchange. It grew, ham radio started to play a bigger and bigger role, and eventually the International Amateur Radio Union Region 1 decided to make it their program. And so when we started out, when I made the mistake of saying, well, Sterling, maybe I should be the director of Yoda Camp. Yeah, I did say that, didn't I? Yeah, I think it was too. Yes, there's proof. I said, we've got to get a team together. We have to, get some help. And one of the first places we went was IARU. we were at Hamvention, and we were passing out these red folders all over the place, drumming up support to pay for all of this and to facilitate all of this. And one of the phrases that I keep hearing over and over in my mind when we look like, I'm not sure we're going to make our budget goal, was Dave Sumner, K1ZZ, who said, "You're not going to have a problem getting funding for this. You're not going to have problems funding this." There were times I thought Dave was wrong, but he was right. And we talked to him and Tim Elam and many others. And then we got a hold of some people from Region 2 and talked to them. They reached out to us and kind of said, "What's going on here?" And so IARU is involved right now with something Sterling is working on with getting youth leaders together every other week and exchanging ideas. And so we're thankful for some guidance that they have given us. One of the questions that always seems to come up is, wait a minute, why is it youth on the air instead of youngsters on the air? It's purely a cultural difference. It is the same. But as a friend of mine explained to me, in Germany, the word youth is usually associated with troubled youths. They're the problem children. Where youngsters is, all fun and, happy and they do their thing and they're just great. Over here, if somebody calls you a youngster, then the first thing you probably think is, well, you're an oldster. And I actually coined that phrase, and I think it was on, shameless plug, Ham Talk Live, the term oldster, because we have youngsters and we have oldsters. And the difference is connotation. It's no different. We are copying their program. Sterling and Sam were sponsored to go to the camp over in Austria. And their goal was find out what they're doing and report back. And it took many attempts to make this happen. There were times that it got shut down. But here we are. And I won't bore you with all the details. But it is a very, very big change in how we keep our youth in the hobby. We're not so much focused on recruiting youth. We do that to some extent, and we've got some things that we know will work. And we recommend those. But we also need something to keep the youth that we have licensed from wandering away, never to be heard from on the air again, which is also a problem for amateur radio to solve. And so this shift, again, is a shock to a lot of people. It's youth-led activities. Most, not all, but most of the sessions that you are going to be in this week are led by people who are 30 or under. That's by design. It's youth planned. This is going to grow. I did a lot of the work this time. I'm not next time. Because next time we're training you all to do it. We want this to be your program and not us oldsters telling you what to do and what you should do. So we're going to be turning a lot of the responsibilities over. We had to do it this way this year because we had to get everything in place. We had to get all the legal and insurance and all of that mess figured out. But we're going to be turning more and more of that over to you as the years go by. I'm taking a couple of classes as if I didn't have enough to do, doing this and the podcast and moving and yeah. I'm taking a couple of classes so that I can teach chemistry at college instead of high school. And one of the articles that I read, because it was assigned, was about how students ask questions. Students ask their peers first, overwhelmingly. And as a chemistry teacher, that's frustrating. Because I'm up there, please ask a question. And you know how it is. It doesn't happen. Peers are who they usually go to. The instructor is the last resort. The expert is the last resort. Now, I'm not giving up on that and saying, well, fine, we don't need teachers. No. So I want you to work on that way, but we're going to push things the other way. We want you to know each other and know each other's strengths and weaknesses so that if you're working on a project and you're stumped, you know who to call. And it's probably not an expert. That was true unless the subject matter was so difficult that they thought it was insurmountable. And then the instructor is the go-to person. Another reason why we're here. We want you all to know each other so that we build a community of young hams. And that's what we're doing. We set some goals. 50% of our sessions would be led by hams 30 or under. Now, a couple of guys over here turned 31. I won't mention any names. Sam and Will. So if you stretch this to 31, 89% of our sessions this week are led by youth, if you stretch it a little bit. We want to build a stronger community. We want to build a leadership group to take on planning of these events. There's still going to be adult supervision. There's still going to be mentors who are there to pick up when the ball gets dropped. But we want you doing it first. We want to provide meaningful skills that may not otherwise be possible in a local school or a local club. So yes, we have some of those big one-shot, one-time wow things, like launching a giant helium balloon to near space, like talking to an astronaut. We've got some of those. And we want to give you those experiences that you probably won't get anywhere else. Otherwise, we'd just be on Zoom. We want to promote all youth programs in the Americas, whether it's remote ham radio or Yacht or Illinois Young Hams or YARC or whoever, Team Exuberance. We want to promote that. We want you to know what's going on and what's available. And so on our website, we do that. If there's something that's not on our website, tell us. We'll get it on there. We want to promote these programs and have a central place so that you can find all of it and you know where to go. Then our next goal is to replicate this camp. This is the region-wide camp. That's the way Europe started theirs. And then they started growing sub-regional camps. So each country would have their own camp, and then they would send delegates to the region camp. And so in the next few years, we want to build this camp up to where we start branching out in sub-regional camps. There's already some people working on Canada for next year. We'll see how that goes. I can't tell you that it's a done deal yet, but it's being talked about. So our focus is to keep our young hams. It's worldwide now. In Region 3, we have Japan, New Zealand, and Thailand. They're kind of doing it the other way around. They're starting at sub-regional and working their way up. We copied everything off the Europeans. So we have Facebook, we have Twitter, we have Instagram, we have YouTube. Check them out. Follow us. Keep active. And check the website. We when scholarships come out, we post that. When opportunities come up to go contest somewhere, we publish that. So keep an eye on it. So far, we have 3 Yoda-specific activities that are just purely the Yoda camp crew kind of thing. We have December Yoda Month. Our December Yoda Month coordinator is sitting right here. That's Bryant Rascal, KG5HVO. He's done this the second time around. What did we do? The first time I said, Bryant, here's what I'd like for you to do. And I'll be there to help you all along the way. And I would send him messages and say, hey, did you do this? Hey, did you do that? And we had a pretty good run. And then the next year I called him up and said, hey, Bryant, you did such a great job. You're doing this again, right? And he said, yeah, but there's some things I want to change. So we talked about it. I said, go for it. Let's do it. And it grew. And so, Bryant, save me the phone call next year when December gets here. You're on, okay? We have this summer camp. This is the first one. Hopefully, many more to come. And then the Youngsters on the Air group just started this Yoda contest. And the next one, it's actually a 3-part contest. The next one is actually Sunday. You'll be home by Sunday. So we want to hear you on the air. We have a ton of people to thank. I did not do this alone. We were able to bring you here and charge you $100 and your transportation. The cost to have you here is right around $1,100, not counting all that nice ICOM equipment that's sitting in there. And sending our friend Will. So it's probably more like $1,800 for each one of you to be here. The $100 was just to make sure you showed up, and you did. That's only possible because of these people that you see on the screen, the YASME Foundation, Worldwide Radio Operators Foundation, Northern California DX Foundation, ICOM, Heil Sound, Xtronic. I called up Weller to get soldering irons, got no response, nothing. I call up Xtronic, what kind of discount can you give me? They said, tell us where to ship them, they're yours. 30 soldering irons, 30 soldering stations, temperature controlled, digital. Hand them over.
Well, now I know where to go.
Now you know where to go. Hamcation, Hamvention, Huntsville, all major contributors to make this possible, to pay for tonight. R&L Electronics, just down the highway. Roger says, here's the store, tell me what you need. So I did. And so you'll see a lot of their stuff this week. The ARRL Foundation gave us some funds to buy the kits that you're going to build in the morning. SWODEXA, the Southwest Ohio DX Association, they chipped in. Radio Amateurs of Canada, we had talked to them. We didn't actually collect anything from them because we couldn't get our Canadian friends across the border, so we'll hold that for a time when we can get some Canadians here. We had a couple, but they couldn't get across the border due to COVID. So hopefully that will change. Gary West, sitting over here, K8DEV, and his wife Dee Dee. He was kind of the spark of getting this going. I mentioned it to him, and he's like, yeah, let's do this. And every time I call him and ask, how things are going at the museum and what needs to be done and what we need to do and what we need to have, he says, I'll fund that. I'll make that happen. I'll find someone who can make that happen. So thank you. To Steve McGrain, we were sitting there with a little bit left, more than a little bit left in the budget, and he calls me up, okay, let's finish it off. And there are hundreds of people out there online that have chipped in their $5, $10, $20, $50, $100, and there's a list of every single one of them on our GoFundMe. So a big thank you to all of those people. They made this happen. So when you get a chance, say thanks. We also want to thank many, many others for help, specifically the museum, Westchester Township, that provided our promotional videos starring the one and only Chris Bro, KD8YVJ in the house. Butler County Visitors Bureau, who gave you those blue bags of stuff. Youngsters on the Air for all of their support. Ward Silver N0AX for pushing the way through the masses and the red tape and all those kinds of things to make this happen. Mark Beckwith in 50T helping us with fundraising, AMSAT that donated the books that you have in your bags and have been a supporter of all of our satellite stuff that Ruth Willett, KM4LAO, will be doing on Thursday. Joe Eisenberg, K0NEB, 3D printed those little W8Y things on top of the monitors in the shack. He's been consulting with us on the kit build, and we're very thankful for that. Bill Brown, WB8ELK, got our balloon trackers going and has mentored Jack. And Jack's all excited for Tuesday when we launch some balloons. And Bill's just been there for them so that Jack can be here for us. So thank you. Tower Electronics for sponsoring the tools that you're going to use, the hemostats, the wire strippers, the solder wick, and all those little things. We thank them. I also want to thank the committee. We couldn't have done it without you. Jocelyn, Sam, Sterling are sick and tired of my emails, especially Sam. Sam's like, can we please get on Telegram so you'll quit sending all these emails? He's not wrong. You all got a taste of that. These guys, oh yeah, way worse. Couldn't do it without you. Couldn't ask for a better crew for this job. And very proud of everything that they've done. Then it came time to get some more staff. And so I called up the Maluzzi brothers, as I like to call them. They are brothers. Tony is here with us. His brother Andy will be joining us on Wednesday. For the rest of the week, they're going to do our antenna build. You met Tony at check-in. Tony took care of all of our registration today. Thank you. And Andy, thank you, wherever you are between Florida and North Carolina right now. And then we knew that we needed some radios, and so we made some calls. We talked to Ray Novak. We talked to Will, and made it happen. And so Will is here for the week. So if you have any ICOM questions, Will's your man. He's going to be leading a session about D-Star. And he's going to be in charge of the shack at the hotel, which we'll talk about in a little bit. So make sure you say hi to Will. And we're very thankful that he's graciously said, hey, wherever you need me, I'm here. And we appreciate that. Also want to thank some of our youth who have already stepped into some leadership positions. Chris Bro, back in the back, is the director's assistant. Now, you know, every director needs an assistant, but every director needs the director's assistant. So Chris is the official gopher. So I'm sending him on errands and go get this and go do that and everything. So you'll be seeing him around quite a bit this week as well. Case over here, just handed him another envelope full of QSL cards to reply to. He's doing all of our paper QSLs, so thank you for doing that for Yoda Month and the special events, and you're going to have a big one this week, I'm sorry to tell you. Already talked about Bryant with Yoda Month, fabulous operator, fabulous young man, proud of all of his accomplishments, and looking forward to seeing what's ahead. And Marty is not with us. Marty Soloway, NN1C, who is the travel king. And so he said, I can do all that logistics stuff. I do that all the time. So that's been his job, and also the Logbook of the World, getting those logs uploaded and getting everything ready to go. And again, we want to expand this list. We want you doing more of this. There are some people who couldn't join us this week that I want to give a shout out to real quickly. Audrey McElroy, KM4BUN, was supposed to be doing our APRS and our balloon launch, which Jack inherited, was voluntold, or I'm not sure exactly what it was. But Audrey is not with us. She had some lame excuse about being a governor's scholar and had to go away for this intensive 3-week program and wouldn't be able to make it. So, Audrey, we miss you, and we look forward to seeing you soon. Natalie McGreen was not able to come, and so Natalie, we hope to see you soon. Jose from Mexico ran into some issues, and so we hope that you're with us soon. Ellen, TF2EQ, wanted badly to be here from Iceland, but she missed the vaccine cutoff by about 2 weeks to be able to get across the border. And so we miss you. We hope you can come. And then Emma Hardman, VE3EHT, and her father, Rod, were supposed to be here, and we waited until the last possible second and found out that they too would miss the cutoff by about 2 weeks of being vaccinated and allowed across the border. So a couple of people made a video to show you, so we'll do that right now.
Hello everyone, this is Elin from Reykjavik, or the TF3 IRA headquarters. I will unfortunately not be with you this week, but I hope you have a lot of fun, and I hopefully see you on there. Tango Foxtrot 2, Echo Quebec, out.
Hi, my name is Audrey McElroy. I came from UN. I just wanted to introduce myself. I was supposed to be there with you guys this summer, helping you guys out with launching some balloons, and unfortunately I cannot. I'm at the Governor's Honors Program for Georgia, which I learned just a few months ago I was going to. So I'm disappointed that I can't be there, but I'm sure Jack will do a great job. And yeah, I look forward to seeing you guys on APRS.
We also want to thank Ray Novak, N9JA, who was our initial contact at ICOM, who turned things all over to Will. And he's celebrating an anniversary this week, so Ray, happy anniversary. And Joe Eisenberg, again, planned to be here, but is traveling and couldn't be here. We also have a long list of volunteers. I hope I have everyone here who has helped in some way, whether it was stuffing stuff in those bags that you got today or setting up an antenna on the roof of the hotel. We appreciate all of you, and we're just so thankful that these people could help us pull this off. So, thank you. There's also someone that I need to recognize, and that's, as her name tag says, Mrs. WB9VPG. My wife, Julie, made a lot of this stuff happen tonight with dinner, with shopping, with making sure that things go smoothly. And so thank you for doing that. She This is the kind of woman she is. She let me do a special event for the wedding. That's the QSL card, N4J. I might have got yelled at a couple of times because you're supposed to be at the rehearsal dinner setting up and you're on the satellites in the parking lot at the Butler County Visitors Bureau. Not that I'm incriminating myself, which just happened to be like a half mile away from where we got married. So Julie had to make a sacrifice. We talked about dates for this camp, and we had originally planned it for a different week back in 2020. We saw that that week was not going to work. And so we sat down and looked at what you all could do. We surveyed you. You got more emails from me. And we figured out the best week possible. We couldn't avoid every conflict, but we figured out the best week possible. That meant that camp started on our first wedding anniversary. So we had to start the celebration a little early on Friday. But we're going to take a minute. One of the best pieces of advice that I got in college was from a very old professor who was into analytical chemistry, as was I. And for a couple of summers, I worked for him in the stockroom, and he took us out to dinner one night and said, if you guys don't learn any chemistry, if you don't learn anything else from me, learn this. Take care of those people who take care of you. I've never forgotten that. I don't always do it to the best of my ability, but I try. So, Julie, thank you. Why are we here? There was this kid back in Vincennes, Indiana, who at the age of 5 became the youngest person in the world to get a ham radio license. As time passed, he got more proficient, had a lot of people who didn't come back on CW because I kept sending age is 5. Age 5. And they're like 55? No, 5. And they just disappear. It was unheard of. The next year, somebody beat that record by a month. He's no longer in ham radio. Since then, some 4-year-olds have beaten that record. But at the time, it was. I barely remember a time without ham radio. And it's stayed with me all these years. In 6 days, it'll be another one. Another year. And so it's going to be 44, I think it is. I've lost track. And people kind of look at you funny when you apply to QCWA and you're 29 years old. But that's why I'm doing this, is I want you all to have those peer relationships that I didn't have. If I caught an 18-year-old on the air on a repeater somewhere, I was thrilled. We want to make sure that doesn't happen again. So that's why we are here. All right, you get to listen to me talk about all this other stuff later on. But tonight we have a very special guest with us that I'm honored to introduce, Mr. Tim Duffy, K3LR. He is the CEO of DX Engineering. He is here on behalf of the Worldwide Radio Operators Foundation. He is the founder and director of Contest University, and he is the past president of the Radio Club of America. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Tim Duffy.
Neil, if I might, I'd like to get to know some of the campers here real briefly. Sure. So many of you know I'm a contester. I was born to contest. And so we're going to make this quick. We have 23 campers. We're starting in the back. First name, call sign, and the state you're from. Because I want to know who's here. So let's start in the back.
Connor W4IPC, Virginia.
Ben K4 Indiana, Virginia.
Patrick W9GGG, Indiana.
Frankie K8HPA, Ohio.
Andy KC3OQF, Pennsylvania.
KSW0AAE, Minnesota.
Ryan KG5HBO, Alabama.
Dylan Kite, KN6IVW.
California, maybe?
California.
There we go.
KAMBK, Ohio.
Leah K9LSZ, Wisconsin.
Adam KD9KIS, Wisconsin.
Joshua KD9OTG, Indiana.
Taylor KE8KWZ, Ohio.
Ruth KM4LAO, Virginia. Becca, you want to go? Okay. I'm Becca K9POK, Wisconsin.
Graham K4FJK, North Carolina.
Michael W3MLJ, Pennsylvania.
Peter, NAPJL, Michigan.
John N0 Juliet, True Delta, Virginia.
Help November Delta to Lima, Florida.
Kaylee KI7TXN, Idaho.
Jack Kilo Mike 4 Zulu India Alpha, Georgia. Jeff KJ7GYR, Montana.
Any other campers spread out? Okay, great. It is so good to see all of you here. This is a very special moment. And, you know, I've been in amateur radio now almost 50 years. And I think I've learned enough and I've talked to enough people around the world that I can definitely say that amateur radio is the best hobby in the world. There isn't anything that comes close to this. Think about it. You wouldn't know each other had it not been for amateur radio. I wouldn't know Neil. I probably wouldn't be working at DX Engineering if it wasn't for ham radio. So think about how that has touched your life every day. So the radio is not the fun part. It's the friendships. The radio is the vehicle. That's what makes this possible. The radio makes it possible for you to meet people, to meet friends, and I mean lifelong friends. One of my very best friends I met on ADCW when I was 12 years old. We're still friends today. Very, very good friends. So I'm going to give you some advice from this 50 years in ham radio, and then I'm going to tell you two stories. My first part of advice to give to you tonight is always be nice to people. It's that simple. Always be nice. There is not a reason in the world not to be nice. Be nice to people. You won't believe how that can affect your life. People will remember that you were nice. As you go through your life, and maybe it hasn't happened yet, find a passion. Find something you really like and do that. Don't stop at anything. Don't stop. Find a passion and go after it. As you do find this passion, think about leaving a legacy. What will people remember you by? What did you do? Did you leave the world a better place? Did you leave amateur radio a better place? That's really important. That's in your hands. You know, Neil and the rest of us gray hair guys, we're not going to be here forever. This is going to be your baby. And doggone it, I want you to take care of it. Because I love ham radio. Life is tough. It really is tough. But you've got to make the best of every situation that you run into. And every day is a bonus. You don't know when your last day is going to be on this earth. So live every day like it is your last day. Take some time every day to go out of your way to help others. That's really important. Help other people, even people that you may not like. Help them. They'll remember that. Try to be very empathetic. See others' problems from their point of view. Try to understand the way they feel. And you will get a bonus out of that as well. Be honest in everything you do to yourself and others. Here's an important one. Double check your work. You would not believe how many people don't double check their work. And I'm seeing lots of faces in here. Catch mistakes and know you can always do better. Constantly set goals. Very, very important to set goals for your life. Near term and long term, put them in front of you, stay focused, and update them as needed, because they will change. Always remember that emails and texts can be forwarded and that they stay on the internet. Be very careful with what you do with social media. Every one of you in here is somebody very special. Most of you are leaders. People will follow you. There are young operators that are in grade school and middle school that are looking up to you already. So you need to make sure you do the right thing. Don't embarrass yourself. And for God's sake, don't embarrass your parents. Always thank people for the things that they do to help you. So be thankful, especially this week, but then carry it on forward. Here's a tough one. Always do the right thing, even when no one is watching. Okay, a ham radio piece of advice. If you're in the high power category, you run 1,500 watts and no more. Not 1,650, not 1,550. If you're high power, you run 1,500 watts. Why? That's the rule. That's the rule in the United States. Don't give anyone doubt about your accomplishments. Your word is your reputation, and it's up to you to build a strong one. Here's one, and I thought about this when Neil was talking to Bryant. Know when to say no. That's hard. That's really hard for me. If you look at all these things, and that's not all of them. It's hard for me to say no, but I've learned how to say no after all these years, because you have to make sure that whatever you do it well. You're going to have to be strong when temptation comes. It's probably already come, and it will come again and again. but you have to be strong. Make a difference in your local ham radio club. Don't just show up for field day, sit down, show everybody you can run people, and then go away. Help mentor, help teach, help do things with the club throughout the year. But you've got to participate in the club. Clubs are the backbone of this hobby. Stay involved. Don't be insecure. Insecurity is very visible, and that will be a problem going forward. So be secure with who you are. Build meaningful relationships with winners. You know, be around people like you. Help others to become winners. Don't be afraid to make mistakes. Know when to take risks. Trust your gut. Here's something the K1EA told me probably 25 years ago in the Crown Plaza parking lot in downtown Dayton as we were getting ready to go out to Hamvention. One of the members of our group was late. He's always late. And I was frustrated because this guy was always late, and he held us up, and I wanted to get to the flea market. And he told me, he says, don't pick at your friends. You won't have any friends. Very good advice. Some of my mentors were guys like W2PV and K2GL and W3AU. They left the world a better place, both as the world and as amateur radio. It's up to you to do the same. You will have to connect the dots in your life. You don't know what the dots are going to be like in your future. You know what they're like in your past, but I hope you can connect the dots to success. Find what you love what you do. If you don't listen to anything else, find what you love what you do. Don't settle for second best. Places like the American Radio Relay League, WWROF, the Radio Club of America, the ARL Foundation are all very near and dear to my heart, and I hope somehow, some way you can affect change and help those organizations grow. Now a story. When I was thinking about going to college, I was in high school. I hadn't had a date for the prom, so I had this radio bug. Everything was radio. But I joined the football team because I thought that was the only way to get a date. The problem was, even through football practice and football games, what was I thinking about? Not football. Nope. Not prom. Nope. I was thinking about the next antenna I was going to build. Passion. I had it in my mind that the only way to build a big ham radio station was to go out and make a lot of money. And back then, this was in the 70s, the people that had big stations were doctors. They had it going on. And so I decided that my career path would be I'd become a doctor. And so I got accepted into pre-med at Penn State, and I hated it almost as much as football practice. Absolutely hated it. And finally, I shifted to electrical engineering, and I found my passion. So don't be afraid to shift to your passion. Another story. When I got out of college, I was teaching. And that was a great career, but one day, an employer in Youngstown, Ohio, called me up and said he wanted to talk to me about my students, that they wanted to do some hiring. When I got to the meeting, it turned into an interview. We really want to interview you. We have 2 jobs here. This is the #1 broadcast station in Youngstown, Ohio. They have TV, they have radio, and they had just gotten a license for cellular telephone. Now, cellular telephone has been around since all of you have been around. But when I was growing up in high school and college, there was no cellular telephone. So they said, we have two jobs. We have this job in cellular telephone, we have this job in TV broadcasting. And I was ready to jump at that TV broadcasting job. And I went and talked to a ham. And that's the great thing. You have a tremendous network of people you can talk to. So I talked to this ham, and he was an older guy, and I says, well, they got these two jobs, and the one's in TV, and TV is booming. I mean, I'm going to take that, because that cellular stuff, it might be a bust. You know, it could be nothing. People having phones in their cars, driving around talking on the phone. Really? Never mind text messaging and this thing called the internet, which all hadn't been invented. My internet was 40CW. That was the real social media. That's where I met friends. So he said, take the job in cellular, because if you're 25 years old, if it fails, you can always go do something else. And that was a fork in the road. That was advice. I had to follow my gut, and it turned out to be the best choice by 100 times. But my life could have gone a whole lot different. But one thing I do know about every job that I have got was because of amateur radio. To and including my first job in high school, where I got hired as a chief engineer at a radio station, AM and FM station. They said, what kind of experience do you have? Well, I'm 16 years old and I have a first-class commercial license. He says, can you take apart a radio? Well, I can build Heath kits. Well, we got a 1 kilowatt transmitter on AM. We got a 3 kilowatt transmitter on FM. I said, I'll give it a shot. You know, the first week I got called out of biology class to go fix the transmitter. And the nuns at the Catholic school were a little surprised about that, but my father picked me up and the rest is history. But these are the things. You follow your passion. You take risks. You take chances. And I wish all of you the best. This is going to be a great camp, and you'll remember it for the rest of your life. 73.
All right. Well, we have a few other things to take care of. Then we'll take a quick break, and then, yeah, he's going to talk about rules. But first, we have some welcomes that came into my email in the last few weeks, so we're going to watch this right now.
Hey Yoda Region 2, my name is Philip, Delta Kilo 6 Sierra Papa. I'm 23 years old from Germany, and I am the chair of the International Amateur Radio Union Region 1 Youth Working Group. This is the equivalent working group to the Americas, but we are working with the IARU member societies in Europe, Africa, the Middle East, and Northern Asia. In the name of this working group, I want to wish you all an amazing experience during this first ever Region 2 summer camp. To the participants, have fun, enjoy the time you have there, make some new friends, it is definitely worth it. When we organized our first summer camp in Romania in Region 1 in 2011, exactly 10 years ago, most of the participants did not even know each other beforehand. After the end of the camp, they became friends, visited each other, and did actions together. Exactly the same behavior we observed during the next summer camps in Belgium and the Netherlands, in Estonia, in Finland, Italy, Austria, the United Kingdom, in South Africa and Bulgaria. The participants became friends after all. I myself attended my first Yoda summer camp back in 2016 in Austria. So this is also where I first met up with Sam, KC2 LRC, and Sterling N0SSC, who are now part of the organizing committee for your camp. I really experienced the same. I now have good friendships with people I met there for the first time. I have been on the expeditions together with them, or just visiting each other when we are nearby. Just amazing memories have been made throughout the past 5 years, in my opinion, and I really don't want to miss them at any time. So I hope you will have the same experience after this camp as well, and use the Yoda camp as your stepping stone towards your amateur radio future, I would say. A big thank you to all the organizers and sponsors who made this camp possible for you all. And yeah, you really put a lot of effort and invested a lot of free time. So many thanks again for this extraordinary great work you did all. But now I don't want to keep you any longer. Have fun at the very first IARU Region 2 summer camp. Just enjoy it, yeah. And I hope to catch you on the air with your special event Yoda station, Whiskey 8 Yankee. Hope to catch you later. Bye-bye.
Hi, I'm Dr. Rob Suggs, NN4NT. I envy all of you at the Yoda camp. I know you're having a great time there, making lifelong friends and learning things that are going to be useful to you in your careers. Ham radio is not just a great hobby, but it's a way to learn things that future employers are looking for, getting that practical experience in electronics and many other aspects of the hobby. I work for NASA Marshall Space Flight Center in Huntsville, Alabama. That's the Rocket City. It's also the home of the Huntsville Ham Fest. Hope to maybe see some of you there this August. I have a PhD in astronomy. I worked on Voyager program back in the late 70s, early 80s, the Jupiter and Saturn missions to Voyager. So I've been at this for a little while. I was first licensed in 1974. And I think that practical experience that I got from ham radio has certainly been useful to me through all of my 35 years in the aerospace industry. That electronics and ionospheric propagation and all the science and art associated with radio are just very valuable to me. I got to work on GPS in the early days as I was a defense contractor. And after I came on with NASA, I got to help build the International Space Station, which is very exciting. Right now, I'm standing in the Lunar Observatory here at Marshall Space Flight Center. We've been using this observatory for about the past 15 years to monitor the night portion of the moon, to look for meteoroid impact flashes in order to try to understand the risk to astronauts on the lunar surface. We've seen about 450 impacts in the past 15 years. My current job is the Natural Environments Discipline Lead for the Human Landing System. That means that I'm responsible for defining the environments, the radiation, meteoroids, plasma, thermal environments, all of that for our return to the moon, to send humans back to the moon. I first got interested in working for NASA back in the late 60s. During the Apollo program, and here I am working on the next manned lunar missions. I hope you enjoy your time there at Yoda. I just encourage you to soak it all up, learn everything you can from your experience there and from your experience with ham radio as you leave the Yoda camp. It'll be just extremely valuable to you. Work hard in school and follow your dreams. I followed my dream and I'm here. I'm doing what I love to do. So 73 and hope to bump into you on the air sometime.
Hello Yoda campers, John Amadeo, AA6JA here. As a young person I was very interested in all kinds of electronics, which led me to become a licensed amateur radio operator. In addition to being a fun hobby, the things I learned as a young ham gave me the foundation I needed to move into a creative and challenging career in the entertainment industry.
I've produced a lot of TV shows you've probably never heard of, and a few you may know.
Studio A, this is Master Control. You're up on Router 7. Have a good show.
Bob Blablaw's a handsome, professional man, and I'm only used to...
Yeah, which he's saving. I mean, he and I, we've talked a lot about it.
Today, I'm a television producer living and working in Los Angeles, California.
On my latest show, Last Man Standing, Tim Allen played Mike Baxter, who was a ham with the fictitious call sign KA0XTT.
Mike,
KA0XTT. Just a little shout out. Anybody having a good time here on Thanksgiving? Anybody hiding in their basement to avoid their relatives?
Tim is a ham in real life, too, with his own real call sign.
Being involved in ham radio can affect your future in so many positive ways. I hope you'll enjoy your time at the camp, learn new things, and make friendships that will last a lifetime. I'll be listening for you guys on the air, so let's try to make contact. But for now, 73s, and enjoy the experience.
Hi, I'm Jerry Ellsworth. It's a great honor that I get to speak to you today for Youth on the Air. The reason for that is because ham radio operators have played such a critical role in my life. Ever since I was a young kid, I loved working with technology, anything science, rockets, chemistry, computers, video games, radios. However, I lived in this really small community in rural Oregon where I had very little opportunity to actually get my hands on these pieces of technology. Fortunately for me, there were some ham radio operators in the area that took me under their wing and taught me how to do things like soldering, work with test equipment, work with computers, communicate on radios. And that really set me on a path to do some really exciting things throughout my career and my life. In my teen years, I was very interested in racing cars. And so I went out and I found some other mentors to help teach me how to weld and machine and actually build these big V8 powered cars. But the ham radio operators were always there supporting me. I wanted to add electronics to these cars to make them better, things like telemetry and traction control systems. And so I became quite accomplished, thanks to them, in racing. In my 20s, I decided to open a chain of retail computer stores, and thankfully I had all this experience with working with computers and electronics, but I didn't know how to run a business. So more mentors. I found some folks to teach me how to run a business. And my computer store business was quite successful. In my 30s, I wanted to break into building consumer electronic products. And so I moved to Silicon Valley, started meeting people and getting more mentors and people helping me. Working in technology, you find that there's a lot of ham radio operators, and many of my mentors that have helped me since I moved to Silicon Valley are ham radio operators as well. And so throughout my career doing consumer products, I got to do some really exciting things. Like I got to design half a dozen toys that sold in the millions. I got to work on chips that went into set-top boxes for recording video. I even got to work on the flight system and the radio system for low Earth orbit rockets. I also had the opportunity to live out one of my dreams and go work for a video game company. So a big video game company called Valve Software recruited me. They had me set up a hardware research division to find ways to make games more fun. And so this group that we put together, we researched all kinds of things about video games, and we developed some of the technology. Maybe you've even got a chance to play with it, like virtual reality. After that, I got really excited about augmented reality, the ability to like slip on these glasses and just have this holographic world spring out in front of you that you can directly play with. And so I started my own company called Tilt 5, where we're building augmented reality glasses that you can play games with. Again, throughout all of this, I needed mentors. When I started my business, I needed to find mentors to teach me how to run a tech business. And so I'd encourage you, any chance you get, see if you can find someone to be your mentor. I'm excited to hear you guys on the air, but I'm more excited to hear your stories someday about how mentors helped you do really exciting things in your life.
Tim's slides don't go there. We're here to get this party started. It's a pilot project, so that means we're going to mess up. We're going to make some mistakes. We want to learn from those mistakes to create a program that will last for generations. So if there's something that comes up, say something. At the end, you're going to take a survey. Tell us what we can improve on. We've already hit some bumps in the road. We'll talk about them. Those of you who stayed at the hotel last night, you already know some of them. But it's nothing we can't overcome. And so we're rolling with the punches and the feedback and making it work. We're going to take a quick break. The restrooms are located in the front lobby. There's still cake. There's still drinks. Grab those and let's get back together in about 5 minutes. Thank you all, and thanks to all of you who watched online. Keep watching for the highlights this week.